Good afternoon and Merry Christmas. It's officially the season. Live from Toronto on the GBKM network, this is the Chatt Up Show, the show where we catch you up with a chat up of our weekly headlines. I'm your host, Elizabeth Aloyde, and I hope that you are ready to chat it up with me today. Now, as always, you know you can keep up with the GBKM network in various ways. You can continue to listen and watch live 24/7 on www.gbkm.fm or www.gbkm.tv, where you can also like, share, comment, all of that good stuff. On our website, you can also check out our past shows section, where you can catch up on any shows you may have missed throughout the week. You know, you don't want to miss our good shows with our lovely hosts. And speaking of our lovely hosts, if you want to learn a little bit more about them and what times their shows are on, you can check that out on our On-Air Personality or OAP tab. And if you are looking forward to a future show and you want to make sure you do not miss it, you can check out our upcoming shows tab to know when the future shows are going to be airing. Also, you can donate if you would like to share and show your gratitude and appreciation for our community here. You can donate on our website and check out some of our merchandise as well. And you know you can continue to watch live on Facebook at GBKM Television, on YouTube at GBKM TV, where you can also subscribe so you know you won't miss out on any of our live shows. You can follow us on Instagram at GBKM FM and Twitter at GBKM_FM. And exciting news! Our app is going to be launching very soon, so you can take us on the go with you anywhere you go and make sure that you do not miss out on shows by getting notifications for when we go live. All of the fun stuff that you can get on our website, you can get on our app too. So make sure you stay tuned for the grand announcement and the grand reveal of our app, which will be available for Android users in the Google Play Store and for Apple users on the App Store. Some really great news for us here at GBKM. I'm so excited for that. But as I said, Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy holidays. It's officially the holidays and I am excited. I'm feeling rather festive today with my scarf. I can't even lie. I felt like I needed to, bring a little holiday cheer in here. But it's exciting. It's a holiday season. It's going to look a little different this year just because we're all dealing with this pandemic and coronavirus is very much still around and it's still with us. But we're going to try and find some holiday cheer wherever we go. I mean, singing Christmas carols in the car, if you will, at home, doing whatever you need to do. You can still decorate, find little ways to give us some pockets of cheer during this season. Am I right? But without further ado, let's dive right into today's topic because I feel like there's a lot we want to discuss. And one thing that I want to just start off by talking about is the notion of privilege. Privilege is something that often those who have it don't necessarily recognize that they have it. And those who don't feel that they have enough privilege are, they see it and they know it. And there's one term that is rather polarizing, and that is the term of white privilege. A lot of folks feel a disdain towards that term, towards that phrase. They feel that if they have worked hard in their life, why can't everybody else, and that you can't have privilege based on your skin color, whereas there are others who feel that the world is set up to advance certain races above others, which in itself is a form of privilege. And I feel like the story or discussion or chat, if you will, for today's show kind of, I would say is the epitome, maybe even the height of this quote unquote white privilege, but it also brings up the other side of privilege, which is also financial and economic privilege, wealth, status, that kind of thing, where those who are higher up in the socioeconomic ladder are afforded or awarded certain things because they have the money to pay for it. Some people feel that, healthcare is one of those things. The right to education, some folks feel is a privilege, and the right to a certain post-secondary education is also a privilege that some people feel there is no price tag too high for it, and they are willing to pay everything to ensure that their children get the best post-secondary education out there. Now, I feel like this might be, ringing some bells in some people's minds, thinking about previous headlines that you'd seen about a quote-unquote college cheating scandal, if you will, or Operation Varsity Blues, it was coined. But this has recently resprung in our social media or pop culture sphere, if you will, or the news headlines, because of a recent Red Table Talk that took place at the beginning of this week with Jada Pinkett Smith, Adrian Banfield Norris, and Jada Pinkett Smith's daughter, Willow Smith. And now we're going to discuss a little bit of that Red Table Talk right here in my trusty red chair. You see what I did there? But before we dive into that, let's just take a trip down memory lane before we get into this college cheating scandal aftermath. So for many parents, their children are their whole worlds, and they would do anything within their power to ensure their kids are set up for a bright future. I mean, parents who love their children, they want to make sure that they have everything they can to ensure that their futures are set up in a way that they can succeed to the highest potential. And that's something we see across all socioeconomic backgrounds. It doesn't matter how rich or quote unquote poor you are. Most parents want to see their children succeed, and they will do anything to sacrifice for themselves to ensure that their children are set up for a bright future. I mean, I can say that my parents have done everything they can to ensure that my sibling and I have a bright future as well, speaking from personal experience. And I know that there are a lot of parents out there who would agree. Even my producer who's in studio today as a parent, I'm sure would agree that he would do anything as well to ensure that those he loves would be set up for a successful future. But sometimes that love can cloud one's judgment of what is right or wrong, or even legal and illegal in this case. And what I'm speaking about is the cheating scandal, if you will, the quote-unquote college cheating scandal of 2019 that took headlines. It arose and caused some outrage amongst people because they felt that this was the epitome of privilege, being manipulated, abused, all of that. It just was, it was too much. It was too much. So I'm going to welcome I guess you're my co-host now, Kenny, eh? Would you call yourself my co-host at this point?
Well, I would say it's a privilege. I'm privileged to be on your show.
I'm so glad to have you, Kenny. Now, this case that occurred in 2019, that, took over the headlines for quite a while, was over a criminal conspiracy to influence undergraduate admissions decisions at several top American universities, including UCLA, USC, Georgetown, Yale, and Stanford, just to name a few. And this investigation into the conspiracy was codenamed Operation Varsity Blues, which I think is rather fitting, to be fair. It's a cool name. Well done, FBI, for coming up with a creative name for this investigation.
Anytime they come up with such name, something is going down.
You know.
Operation Python Dance.
Like they're on it. Especially when they add a color.
Yeah, you know that shit is going down. Sorry, my English.
Now, with this conspiracy, there were at least 53 people who have been charged as part of the conspiracy, and a number of whom pleaded guilty or agreed to plead guilty as of this year. And there were 33 parents in total of college applicants who are accused of paying more than, hold on to your seats before I read out this number, more than $25 million, US dollars, okay, between 2011 and 2018 to a certain Mr. William Rixinger, who was essentially the organizer of this scream, who used part of the money to fraudulently inflate entrance exam tests, of course, and bribe college officials. So this guy paraded himself as a college counselor, received money from these parents to fudge some scores and bribe college admissions officials to let the parents' children into these institutions. Now, Singer controlled the two firms involved in the scheme. One of them was Key Worldwide Foundation and the Edge College and Career Network, also known as the Key. He himself pleaded guilty and cooperated with the FBI in gathering incriminating evidence against co-conspirators. So essentially, I guess the streets will call him a snitch, right?
Yep.
He was a little bit of a snitch there. He said he unethically facilitated college admission for children in more than 750 families. That's a lot. How do you have time for that?
But what do you mean? That's a job.
It's a full-time
Don't look
career.
at it like that. Okay, he they see it as a job.
Yeah.
So it's just like you go to your 9 to 5. They're getting paid. They're making it. What do you mean? That's a whole lot of money, revenue right there.
That's a lot, but it's a lot.
I'm not trying to
families.
say it's a good thing,
Yeah.
but don't look at it like, how do you get time for that? You make time for that.
That's true.
Because when money talk, BS walk.
Especially when it's $25 million.
That's what I'm talking about. Now, let's quickly fast forward. Look at the domino effect in the future. When you start producing students that are not capable, when you start having a medical doctor that cannot do a surgery, that cannot even prescribe a medication. Look at the kind of generation. Look at the spin-off that is going to happen.
Yeah.
That's where the problem is.
That is the big problem. Especially when you're cheating your way into certain places, especially taking away from folks who have actually, you know, gotten the marks that are required, have the application that, you know, that's real, that wasn't forged or faked in any way. And which then leads to people who maybe aren't prepared for the real world, aren't prepared for the career or the occupation they want to pursue later on. If you have enough money to throw at a problem, that in itself is a problem.
The world has come to a stage whereby a lot of people believe that money can buy you anything. They can buy your way or through. And this life, or the aspect of capitalism, of you trying to force your way through financially because you have the capacity to do so.
Yeah.
It's something that is getting very rampant. Even in my country of origin, Nigeria, for those that are just hearing my voice for the first time, Kenny is my name. I am originally Canadian Nigerian. And even here in Canada, there are a lot of cases under the table, and some of them made it to the frontline media, where you see that parents pay for their children to be promoted or to be admitted to schools. So it's just the kind of life that we are living these days.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same corruption as in Nigeria, but this one gets a different name. You know, this is a conspiracy to commit fraud, but it's corruption at the end of the day.
Yeah, at the end, it's just like when it comes to Africa, they say, oh, tribal, we are tribalistic. When it comes to the Caucasian, they say racism. Same thing. You are tribalist, you are racist, same thing. So they just name it differently, but the truth is that the impartation in the long term is the same.
Yep.
We're going to have, in my own opinion, we're going to have paralyzed, incapacitated, different sector, people working in different sector, from automotive to engineering to technical, any level you want to, no matter how you want to look at it, it's going to impact us. And these people don't really care, Elizabeth. They don't care. They just care about them getting the result on one end, and then the guy facilitating it just care about making the money.
Yeah. But then you can also bring up the argument that most of these people are just going to school just to get the degree. They don't really care about what they're studying. It doesn't really matter what they major in because it won't affect them. If they have the means to throw this kind of money at this situation, then they're probably set up for the rest of their life.
This argument came up one day, and the guy told me, oh, tell me how many times you've used what you learned in the school in your office.
Well, it's different for certain. I use it every day.
So some people will tell you that if y is 9, y plus z is 17, find y. How often do you use that?
That's true.
So they come with very crafty ways to justify their actions. They'll tell you, to be honest, that whatever you study in the school, you don't use it. But I don't think that's the truth here, because the bottom line is there's a reason why you study everything. There's a reason why you major. There's a reason why you have a PhD. And those cannot be... Bought. No, not at all. So I think it's just about selfish interest here overall. Yeah. And it's going to... I'm glad that it came up. The story came up again. So we all can refresh on it and talk about it. But it's something that we need to bring more on the frontline media every day, because it's really going to impact our tomorrow. Yeah. Look at the generation. Go ahead.
I mean, this is something that went on for 7 years with just this case alone.
That's 7 years on record.
Yeah.
So
because it could have started earlier.
Yeah. I can tell you, not that I was there, but there could be some off-record track, you know, on it. And whether we like it or not, we in the media has to be discussing this all the time. A lot of people, for example, I was talking to somebody the other day, and his fear was that he's trying to hire And then we're talking about G98.7, and the guy is like, oh, you know what? The problem, we should stop hiring family and friends and favorism and neighbor and so
Nepotism,
on.
right?
We should hire people that are qualified. So they're all tied together because somebody has money. They tell you, you know what? I'll do you another favor in return, and then you get hired or you get put into the school, whatever. Even if it's in kind or in cash, corruption is corruption.
Or it's seen as a donation to the school.
Of course, they just change it, Like somebody was saying that if your friend is in politics in Nigeria, you call it, I have a connection to do this business. But if it's not your friend, somebody else that is involved directly, you said, oh, it's corruption. It's like that.
Yeah.
But again, I thank you for bringing this up. We have to do more to educate people the impact. I think we're doing less to let people know the implication and the impartation in the long term.
Yeah.
See, Elizabeth, I know somebody that came to Canada, and he was a medical doctor in some country in Africa. I don't want to mention the name. And he goes, Kenny, I must tell you the truth. All these things I'm seeing in this lab, the only time I've seen it is in the picture. So, and he was
practicing?
He was supposed to be, he was practicing. So should he have those need to to use those equipment? That's murder right there. So these things have impartations when we start buying our way through. There's a reason why this person is not qualified. There's a reason why these students don't have those grades to get into those programs. There is a reason. The why factor is very important.
That's true. Now, moving on to just some of the charges that Singer, who was the head of the operation, he faces up to 65 years in prison and a fine of $1.225 million. Which, would you say that's a fair sentence?
Well,
65 years?
Let's start from the money, the fine of the money. How much did we estimate that he made?
At least more than $25 million.
Okay, so if you are estimating that he made more than 25 million and you're asking him to pay 25 million, practically you're asking him 10% of what the fraud he did. That's number one. That's my own view, and this is clearly my own view.
In fact, it's less than 10%.
So you see what I mean? So you're saying that, let's say my name is a Hush Dog. I don't want to use the complete name. And I made $10 million, and I get caught, and then you say I should bring $10 out of the, you know what I mean? So at the end, I just pay you off.
Yeah.
That's why they go score-free. That's why they do what they do, because you know what? If they're able to reach the apex by accumulating such wealth, they can buy their way out. Yeah. That goes back to buying your way out again as they were buying their way. Now, let's talk about the years they talked about.
65.
65 is a lot.
Yeah. That's the rest of his life.
Yeah, 65 is a lot.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's 750 families here. So.
Yeah, but the question we should be asking is that, what about the family that came to him?
We'll get to them.
What happened to them?
Well, we'll get to them. So first, let's just go through what it is he's going away for. Federal prosecutors alleged a college admission scheme that involved bribing exam administrators to facilitate cheating on college and university entrance exams, so the ACTs, the SATs that folks take, bribing coaches and administrators of elite universities to nominate unqualified applicants as elite recruited athletes, thus facilitating the applicants' admission. So they don't have any experience in any of these athletics that they are, putting on their application. Using a charitable organization to conceal the source and nature of laundered bribery payments. So saying that it was a not-for-profit charitable organization that they were paying this money to as a donation, as opposed to it just bribing folks to get their kids into school.
So this looks like an organized crime.
Yeah, it is organized crime at the end of the day. I mean, he had names for these corporations. Well,
that means in that case, the year should be like 120. Because, you see, there's what we call premeditated. I mean, most things are premeditated, but when you get to the organized level and you put it in the scheme, whereby you follow through, everything is departmentalized, everything is structured out. That kind of a person, I think you should have 62 by 2 years. 104 years.
That's a lot of years. I mean, sucks to be him, but
Well, don't you think that would sound like a warning for people that want to do it?
I think so.
Somebody has to at least
Definitely.
Somebody has to at least put that fear out
And
there.
like be the scapegoat for it or set the
Well,
precedent.
yeah, he chose the route. So if you can't do the time, don't do the crime.
Very true. Very true.
I mean, I'm not trying to be very harsh here, but I'm just trying to looking at
No,
what.
because this was a crime that didn't need to be committed.
Now, let me be honest. We're just talking about the people that was brought in. We really cannot estimate the damage in the future that this will make. Some people that are qualified that were not.
Yes.
They know they were qualified,
Yeah.
and they didn't take those. They were deprived. Let me put it that way. Some may be depressed. What if they take their life? That's one part.
Because it's very real that could be a possibility.
It's real. It's a real problem. So if you put those factors in place,
Yeah, this wasn't something small. And I feel like when this story first broke, especially one of them, Lori Loughlin, who we know as Aunt Becky from Full House, her daughter came out and she was like, why is everyone so worried about this? Like, it's not like it's that big of a deal. Her privilege speaking and her ignorance, which she did mention when she came on Red Table to discuss what happened earlier this week, was that her attitude about the whole thing was, why do people care? And what you just brought up is a very real reason why people care, is that there were people who were qualified for her, essentially her admission, who did not get it, who probably needed that to, move to the next stage in their life. They didn't get it. They had no other option. And then what happens to them?
and you see, and then let's take the person that had the option and take the option and cannot even use it. So you're just killing the whole process.
Yeah, because she dropped out after this all came out in her freshman year.
You see what I'm saying now?
Yeah.
Now what has happened? You terminate that process, terminate the person that was supposed to take the process, and by so doing, you have incurred a rod of fire in that privileged person's. I mean, the person that is supposed to look at example like people like us. I came from Africa. I worked so hard. Everything that I've earned, I've worked so hard for. Even as I speak, I still work 7 days a week, 14 days every day. And then let's say you get to the time now for me to cultivate. Some guy comes now, and I put all my bidding in, know that I'm qualified to get that contract, that deal. Then Elizabeth show up because he knows the president or the vice president, whatever, pay her way and then take it. But have worked 14 hours and 14 years, 7 days a week to get to that position.
See, but then people will say, sorry, you couldn't afford to buy your way in. Life's not fair.
Yeah, but the point is that is it structured for people to buy their way in, or is structured on qualification, on merit? So if it's like a lottery, you bid and you play, you win, then yes. But if it's structured for me to work hard and earn it and have the qualification, why will you now bypass the process by paying your way in?
Yeah.
Now, what you've just done, you have first of all not only abused all the years I've put into it, you have discouraged me, demoralized me, and tell me go to hell.
And you've abused the system.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
And now what you do now, because you abuse the system, you're successful in getting in, it becomes the norm. Now the original process is aborted, and now we have a pollute system that is going to be yielding out at the end pollute products.
Yeah. Now, there were 33 parents who were accused of in this scheme, and there were 2 sets of families that were really brought to the headline because they were essentially Hollywood families. One was Felicity Huffman. Most of them know her for her role as Lynette Scavo in The Desperate Housewives. And as I mentioned earlier, Lori Loughlin and her husband Massimo Giannulli, who Lori Loughlin was Aunt Becky on Full House, and Giannulli is a fashion designer. Both sets pled guilty, though Loughlin and Giannulli took a minute. They did try to fight it in the beginning. I'll get into the details of that. But for Huffman, they had 2 different cases, essentially, but they were similar in the sense that it was the same scheme. Huffman and Laughlin used two different schemes in Operation Varsity Blues, in which they paid William Rixinger different amounts of money. $15,000 for Huffman to essentially fudge her child's test scores, and $500,000 from Laughlin for her two daughters. Now, Lori Laughlin and her husband pleaded guilty in May, admitting to paying the $500,000 to guarantee their daughter's admission into the University of Southern California as crew recruits for the rowing, despite them never competing in the sport in their life. Now, the affidavit that was released, said Giannulli and Laughlin used bribes to facilitate Isabella's admission to USC, which is the name of one of their daughters, by having her pose as a recruited crew coxswain, though she had never participated in the sport. So they essentially fabricated images, which they sent to this singer to use as part of her application. And as part of the scheme, they created fake athletic profiles and falsified resumes for both their daughters, Olivia Jade and Isabella. Now, Laughlin and Giannulli were charged with conspiracy to commit mail fraud and honest services mail fraud, and they were among the several parents who were later charged with conspiracy to commit money laundering and conspiracy to commit federal programs bribery. The couple spent more than a year arguing in court that they were not guilty. And Laughlin's legal team tried a number of strategies calling for the case to be dismissed, including arguing that she and Giannulli thought that the $500,000 payment was a legitimate donation to USC, and saying FBI agents tried to coerce Singer into lying and concealing evidence that would bolster parents' their claims of innocence, I guess, essentially.
You know, in summary, let me just say this. Because they are elites and they are rich, in quotes, I think those guys, if found guilty, they should be shipped to a farm where it's not mechanized, and make them work in the farm at least minimum for 30 years each. Manual labor, no mechanized farming. They work day and night, because of God, they'll have Sunday off. As a matter of fact, I have half day on Sunday off, because that's how they know. That's how they will know the pain that an ordinary person is going through. Yeah. That's how they will feel the pain that an ordinary person is going through. You're giving $500,000 to UFC, whatever, and she claimed, or he claimed, they claimed that it was a donation. Yeah. Do you know how many people on the road, on the street, that actually really need that donation? Yep, knowing that you fabricated the application as well. So, to me, putting them in jail, it's going to cost me money because I'm a taxpayer. Yeah. I think they should go to the farm where there's no electricity, where there's no mechanized farming, and their only day off is half a day on Sunday, period. Now, it's funny that you brought up 30 years, because their sentences was Lori Laughlin got 2 months in prison, plus community hours, and her husband was sentenced to 5 months behind bars. A lot of people think that this is a very lenient sentence. Of course, we are even lucky that they didn't do the term from their home. Oh, well, actually, Lori will actually have to spend 2 years on supervised release after serving her prison sentence. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. So in order to pay $150,000. That's why my friend from the other part of the continent said that the system is rigged. The system is rigged. Yep. So you see what I'm talking about? They pay their way, and they get to do supervised, and then they have their way. We need food. If you ship all these guys to the farmland, you don't have to bring people from all the other country and underpay them. They go and work. They understand what it is to sit in the sun, sit in the cold, to cultivate tomatoes, reap, and all this job. They need to know how to do it. You will see that by the time they come back, they'll see values in hard work. Now, a lot of people, as you say, the system is rigged. This only resurfaced some old cases from back in the day of similar things where parents, they were both black women in this case, which brought up the whole race relations when it comes to the judicial system in America, who had essentially fudged their address to allow their children to go to school, public school, in a different school district to get a better education. One of the parents
just looking up her name, sorry, was Kelly Williams Bowler, who is a mother from Akron, Ohio. She was jailed for 10 days after falsifying an address to get her daughters into a better school. Now, the thing with this case is the address that she put on the school application was the address of her father, where the kids had actually spent half their time living because of Williams Bowler's work. So they actually did spend half their time living in that district. So the mother felt, well, it's kind of half true. So I'll put this on the application so my kids can get a better education in a better school district.
You see, my take on this is this. The system, again, is rigged. When they create, some of these things are designed with loopholes.
Yeah.
And a lot of some people are very crafty. They're very smart in taking the loopholes. First question is, why will there be a better school in some area and there's a not better school in some area?
Quote unquote property tax.
Number one, right? Number one. Why is it not equal for everybody?
Yes.
That's because we live in the same country, the same government, the same tax, whatever you call it. That's number one. Number two, once this is noticed, how hard is the government or the system working to cover up the loopholes? That's number two. Number three, do you think the parents deserve the best school for their child? Do you think it's a crime to want your child to go to get the best? Number four, well, if you say there's nothing like half truth, partial truth, the truth is truth, like the child was living there, it becomes a technical issue. Now rely on the expert lawyers to look at it from different angles to analyze that, to say that, listen, where is your address? What's your proof of address? If the proof of address is there and they actually live there sometimes, it's just like you work in Montreal or you live in Toronto, you are to a degree allowed to drive your Toronto license plate number because that's where you reside, you just work here. So it gets very technical.
Yeah.
But you know, also penalize the parents not to want the best for their child.
See, that argument's a little tricky because then you can say the same for these privileged folks who paid as well. But just to speak on that, I think that it was in the technicality because initially Williams Bowler was facing 5 years in prison in 2011. 5 years for fudging an address that her kids did spend a lot of time.
Yeah, but
at.
the word forging, it's too far from somebody partially living.
Yeah.
Forging, in my opinion, is like they don't even know the location. They don't even live there. They have nothing to do there, and they just kind of come up with it. So it's a little bit different. Yes, you're correct. I can say that the parents that are paying $500,000 for their child, they want the best. But I'm saying that at least they don't have anything at all. Look, you are not even in that spot. You are not even there. You became like part of it because you paid. You don't have anything in common at all. It's different from I go visit my grandma, I spend 3 days every week, and now I have a best school in that area and so on. So it's a little bit similar, but it's still different.
It's still different, yes.
But how hard is the government working to cover the loopholes? That's the question here. Because you see, if it comes to ordinary people, things that ordinary people can benefit, the loopholes, in my own submissive opinion, are very easy to close. But when it comes to the elites, remember a lot of scandals have come out in different political camps where they favor their friend. You see that the loopholes still remain. Yeah. Because that's $1 million talking.
And that's the conversation of privilege as well. Financial privilege that
of
can
course.
buy you your freedom, essentially, in this
So
case.
the first thing a lobbyer would think is, what are the loopholes? Once they know their loophole, they buy into that loophole. Yeah. And say, you know what, I'll give you this money, give me this, and we'll use this in our defense.
Let me bring up a second case that happened. This was also in 2011, the case of Tanya Mcdowell, who was a homeless Bridgeport, Connecticut mom. And she was arrested for first-degree larceny for enrolling her 5-year-old son into a school in a neighborhood. She was actually sentenced to 5 years as well for the charges connected to sending her son to a school in a different school district. And the reason she did that was because though she was homeless, she was able to stay in an apartment in the district at night, but not during the day, so it wasn't considered a permanent address.
You see, to be honest, sometimes that's why the judges will say based on the evidence before me, because they know that sometimes it look white is not white.
Yeah.
The first thing is homeless. The second question is, are you really going to deprive a homeless person child not to go to school so that their child will continue the legacy of homelessness?
Because they would arrest the mother if the child wasn't going to school for truancy.
So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Do you want the legacy of homelessness to continue, or you want somebody to take their destiny into their hand and do what they can? That's number one. Number two, this person was actually kind of indirectly residing. So I don't know much about that case, but it sounds like somebody was unable to get a parent lawyer. It sounds like somebody was not represented enough.
She also had previous drug charges as well and was arrested on drug charges too. So there's also that in the mixture, but specifically
So who says she was already known by the law?
Yes, essentially. But for the actual specific case of sending her child to a school in a specific district, 5 years.
Yeah, but it still looked to me, I'm not abreast with the total information as to this very...
The legalities of it.
Yeah, but I think that things like this happen a lot when you are not represented properly.
Yes.
I've seen somebody go to jail for 4 years for just stealing a candy.
Yep.
Because there was no lawyer, there was nobody there. And the guy said, you know what? I can represent myself because they don't know better. Yes, don't mind you, it wasn't in Canada, but it's still planet Earth.
Yeah.
And the guy said, I can represent myself. Now they do everything. It's quicker for the judge, it's quicker for the lawyer, it's quicker for everybody. Let's walk.
On that note, I think we should take a quick break before we come back and continue discussing this and continue discussing the aftermath for one particular family and their daughter. After her parents were, sentenced, shipped off to jail, see how she's doing, and discuss this red table talk that has gotten a lot of people a little heated, to be quite honest with you. Not everyone is happy about the fact that this person is giving a platform to speak her side about a year after this all went down. So stay tuned and we'll be right back.
My name is Kemi Amushon, President, Nigerian Canadian Association.
My name is George Chukwu, aka Bluetooth George, Vice President, Nigerian Canadian Association.
I'm also known as Lady K, and what are we doing today? We are bringing you a program that you will all love.
Most of Nigerians that come here that have teacher certificate in Nigeria, when they come to Canada, usually they do not know how to be able to navigate themselves to get the kind of job that they love.
They don't really realize that being a teacher in Canada is actually a very good paying job. It's a professional job. Nigerian Canadian Association in Greater Toronto area, we are bringing professionals to come and talk to you about how you can actually navigate this process and become a teacher in the Greater Toronto area. This is happening
on December 5th, 2020. This particular program will show you how to, put your application together and then the interviewing process in order to become a teacher here in Canada.
Yes, that means the first Saturday, it is information session on how you can actually apply to be a teacher, while the following Saturday, it's for you, the application process, the interview process, everything is going to be broken down for you. And we are getting these professionals to come on board.
Hello and welcome back to the Chatt Up Show. I'm your host, Elizabeth Oloidi, and today we've been chatting about the college cheating scandal that stole headlines in 2019 and has somewhat resurfaced again today. And I'm joined by my unofficial co-host, Kenny Baz. Today we're discussing what this case really means, the implication, and the aftermath of it. Now, I'm sure many of you are wondering, why are we talking about this again? It happened last year. Why is it news again? Well, because the daughter of Lori Loughlin and Massimo Giannulli, Olivia J. Giannulli, has recently come forward, recently sat at the red table for a talk with Jada Pinkett Smith, her mother, Adrienne Banfield Norris, and daughter, Willow Smith, to discuss how this whole scandal really impacted her life, where she's at now, how she feels, and so on and so forth. Now, many people feel that this was another example of white privilege at play, that this was a very privileged white woman who came from a wealthy background, whose parents committed a crime they had no business committing, and is now choosing 3 Black women to essentially rehabilitate her image after it has been tarnished by this scandal, following this highly publicized case. Now, one of the people who were very vocal about her point of view was Banfield Norris, who is affectionately known as Gammy to a lot of people. And she said that it was exhausting seeing everything that's going on in the world, and then now to put energy into feeling bad for someone who was in a very privileged position. She just doesn't see herself being in that headspace right now. But instead of me talking about it, I'm gonna show you a clip from the latest episode of the Red Table Talk, where Gammy speaks her mind on this situation. Take a look.
For me, it's like there is so much violent dehumanization that the Black community has to go through on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Right? There is so much devastation, particularly this year, 2020, with the pandemic and everything being brought to the table, just how there's so much
Inequality.
Inequality and inequity. That when you come to the table with something like this, it's like, child, please.
Right. No, I get that.
I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted with everything that we have to deal with as a community, and I just don't have the energy to put into the fact that you lost your endorsements.
Right.
You know, or you're not in school right now.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, you're going to be okay because your parents are going to go in and they're going to do their 60 days and they're going to pay their fine, and you guys will go on and you'll be okay and you will live your life.
Right. Yeah.
And there's so many of us that it is not going to be that situation.
Yeah.
It just makes it very difficult right now for me to care.
I totally
in
understand
this
that.
atmosphere that we are in right now. A year from now, I might feel differently. But right now, in the atmosphere that the world is in, it's very difficult for me to feel compassionate.
Kenny, what do you think about what Gammy was saying there?
I think she made her point, and one thing that she said that I really like to relate to is she's emphasizing her feelings. She's tying it to a timeline. She's saying that this is how I feel now, and don't blame me tomorrow if I change my opinion. And she has the right, but I think we need to see the lady's reaction to it so that we can now see what was really after and before those statements.
Okay, so like actually right before this statement, we do have a clip from where Olivia essentially says what she feels about it, and says what she feels about, you know, people seeing her and saying, I can't feel compassionate for you. So let's check it out right now.
So do you understand why different people in the community would be upset? Do you have any understanding of why I would be upset at your being here and what you all did?
I would also
and the
love
harm
to
that
hear
it
it from
caused?
you, because I feel like it's a good learning thing. I think I can understand how wrong it is, and we had the means to do something and we completely took it and ran with it, and it was something that was wrong. And I think what a lot of people, not that it matters because nothing that happened was, it really can't be excused. Like on paper, it's bad. It's really bad. But I think what a lot of people don't know is my parents came from a place of just, I love my kids. I just want to help my kids. Whatever's best for them. I've worked my whole life to, you know, provide for my family. And I think they thought it was normal.
Right.
And I think that there was a college counselor involved who seemed legitimate and ended up not being legitimate. And in that community, it was not out of the ordinary.
Right.
And it's embarrassing to say that I didn't know.
You know, one thing that I think we can take away from this clip is that she recognizes the wrong in the situation. And though, you know, she does say like it was coming from a place where her parents loved their children and wanted the best for them, she still knows that it was
but
wrong.
the choice of words, the choice of word that she used
On paper.
on paper, we have the means. I don't know. My parents have the means. The means. So it means that it's a license to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
So I think her choice of words, in my own opinion, that it shows that she's not remorse. No matter how she tried to make it sound, when you listen to what she's not saying, in my own submissive opinion, this is my opinion, I think this is just blah, blah, blah. This is a stage walk, a firework for the media.
And on that note, actually, a lot of people feel that this was a very clear publicity stunt to try and rehabilitate her image. And coming to this talk specifically, you know, folks say that the Red Table is a space of healing. It's a place where folks can get their side of the story out. They can seek compassion, all of this stuff. But they felt that she had no right to come to this table. And one person in particular actually tweeted about her feelings. This was writer and actress Francesca Ramsey, who tweeted her feelings saying, but shouldn't we, quote, shouldn't we give space for people to learn from their mistakes and change? Sure, but offering an apology doesn't mean you're owed forgiveness. And as Gam said, I'm mostly bothered that Olivia essentially demanded emotional labor from 3 Black women to help rehab her image. Olivia has 1.8 million followers on YouTube. She easily could have made an apology video for her publicist to circulate and be done with it. This appearance was a calculated move of, if these prominent Black women forgive you, everyone else will too. It's the transparency for me, end quote.
You see, these people have a team of people working for them, developing content for them, strategizing their moves for them. So the world has gone to a stage whereby it's getting very difficult to be fooled. Those that have eyes can see. And there's something we say in Africa, I keep referring to my homeland, arrogantly Nigerian, and I'm proud of that, Nigerian Canadian, but the legs that move fast, the eyes that move fast can see them. So you're correct. In my opinion, it's calculated and it should have been so, because she said my parents have the mix, number one. She also was trying to say there's somebody from the school system involved, meaning that that person should have known better. It makes it legit. And then she also went on and said in that community it was the norm. See, bad is bad in Nigeria, bad is bad in Ghana, it's bad in Ethiopia, good is good everywhere, bad is bad everywhere, period.
And it was almost trying to justify the actions of her parents.
Excellent.
By saying that, oh, like, it's almost like shifting the blame onto Rick Singer. Yes, of course, he should have known better,
so my
but
parents,
so should have your parents.
She said, my parents come from a point whereby I want the best for my... So are you telling me that because candy tastes good, you're going to give your child, well, you know you're going to cause diarrhea? You know the candy, too much of it is going to cause diarrhea, but it does taste good in the mouth. So it was nice. Your parents know that it's nice to put you in those schools, but they also know that it's going to cause diarrhea, just like the candy example. So this is baloney. It's a media package. It's made for the media. It's to drive the numbers and so on and so forth. In my opinion, I reject this.
Yami did too. She didn't even want to have her on. She felt that it was irresponsible of them to give her the space to come and say, woe is me, I lost my endorsements. As she said in the clip we saw earlier, woe is me, I lost my endorsements, you know, folks are being mean to me essentially. And this isn't to go and say that she deserves all of this negativity to be thrown at her, but it's just looking at the facts of this case, looking at who, you know, she had to sit down and post for those pictures too.
She has the platform to speak her mind and be genuine without packaging it. And she refused to do that. So people will look into that. Again, nowadays, people don't only listen to what you're saying. They listen to what you are not saying.
Yes.
So what I'm emphasizing on here is what she didn't say, not what she said. Because sometimes being a silent can be too loud.
I mean, later on in the talk, she did iterate that she didn't expect people to completely be on board with her. She didn't expect people to forgive her.
But she's crying she lost her endorsement. So she's speaking for double side of her mouth. She should say that, oh, I expect to lose my endorsement. Then we'll know she's serious. Because you cannot heal a child and you expect the child not to cry. Like, your action will attract a reaction. So what she's saying is just like talking, but at the same time not saying anything. It's to me not anything. It's just speaking because you just want to occupy that space and then play that game for people to sympathize with him. We are tired of people trying to lobby for our sympathy unmerited.
Now, speaking of the unmerited part, she is saying that now she's trying not to just, you know, being in a position of privilege, she's trying to use her privilege to help those who are not as privileged, putting in the work to help herself grow.
But we need to see if
educated.
we need to see, I won't even let it finish. We need to see if he's being monetized. Now, trying to support and to help the less privileged is good. The question is he being monetized? And if he's being monetized in some shape or form, who is at the tail end taking the advantage? We need to see that.
Yeah. To see if it's genuine growth or if it's part of the publicity stunt.
Of course. Because you can mask it up and show you that it is what it is, but we want to see who's behind the mask.
See, but one thing that I will commend her for is she didn't have to speak on it at all. I'm yet to see her sister speak on it publicly in this way. And if you watch the full episode of this Red Table Talk, you will see her constantly say, I now know of my privilege that I was ignorant to before. So maybe it took this slap in the face for her to realize that she does come from a place of privilege.
Well, that's
and
the
that
problem.
It's not okay to take advantage of that privilege.
The problem is what you just call a slap in the face. It should be a hammer in the head. That is the problem.
Yeah.
You call it a slap. That's why she speaks to it in a more flamboyant way, the way she's doing, because it's a slap.
It wasn't too much of a heavy punishment.
Of course, it's not. She's going to write books if she hasn't written a book. She's going to do all the normal stuff that all her peers does and make more money. Anyways.
It's a tough one because, you know, part of you wants to be like, this is a girl who trusted her parents and trusted the path that they chose to take and kind of dragged her along. But then in the same hand, there was a video of her circulating that she posted on her YouTube where she was talking about how school wasn't important to her, that she only wanted to go to university to party and go to game days. So your parents did all of this, committed all these crimes just for you to sit here on YouTube and say, I just want to party my way through
I want to
college.
say that those videos were there before the legal team.
They were there before, yes.
Yes, before the legal team. Everybody sit her down and coach her how to talk.
Yes, 1000%. And even she said herself, she was like, I can't believe that I said those things, edited that video, and then uploaded it. And it wasn't until she received the backlash that she then took it down and realized the error in her ways. Ignorance is bliss.
But the word realize, it's synonymous. The word realize is relative, I mean to say. Did she realize from what we heard?
Or did people make her realize?
Or does she make it look realized? It's relative, my dear, because look at it. Look at the pains in the world today. If we all really realize the way you just said it, the world would be a better place.
It's the way you said it.
Realize.
Realize. But it's true.
Will be a better place and we'll have a lot of reality at hand.
Yeah, I mean, she says the same thing too.
Everything is packaged.
Yeah.
In my own opinion, she is just packaged to be out there. She's programmed to speak the way she spoke. Because you see, it's just like when you ask a child, who broke the glass? I did not, but my hand did. What do you mean you did not, but your hand did? Oh, it wasn't me, my leg did. That's the example she's giving us. When you take responsibility, when you are sorry, it means you take responsibility, you are sorry. The first step of being sorry is it will not repeat itself because you now know that I am not proud of it. It was wrong. I don't want to be associated with it. I don't want to do it. It will not repeat. Then you are sorry. But if you say, I'm sorry, but it wasn't me, my hand hit it, then you're not sorry, you're packaging me.
And what I will say is something that I did notice is that she never really mentioned to what, maybe this is a legal reason, to what extent she participated in this scheme. Because those pictures that were sent off, someone needed to pose for them. Someone needed to sit down and take those pictures. She did say that she had worked really hard in high school to get the grades that she did. So some part of her felt that, you know.
For somebody that is sorry, first of all, to say that in that neighborhood, that was normal. So because it's going on in that neighborhood, let's agree if it's true what she said. That doesn't make it
Right.
legal.
Yeah.
for you to still have that spirit in you and say in the context in which she put it. She didn't say at that time. She said in that neighborhood, in the video we just watched. And it's normal. So for me, I even though she's calm, I smell a lot of arrogancy. And things like this is what, as a black man, colored person, that really get me irritated. Because a lot of us, a lot of black, white, I don't care where you are at this point now, are really suffering, trying to work hard and really merit those things. And now if you still at this point haven't gone through the process you've gone through so far, cannot realize the full damage you have done, the extent in which you have gone, then there is something happening somewhere.
Yeah, it's not full accountability. It's
a total rejection in that case. That would be my summation. It's a total rejection. If you are in, you're in. If you're out, you're out. See, good people make mistakes.
Yeah.
Good people make mistakes, and we understand that. And you know when somebody's honest about their errors. You don't come on the red table and why did you not do it on your YouTube? I say, listen, I'm so sorry. This is what it is, and be organic. Don't come and be doing a premeditated speech.
And I think the reason a lot of people felt this way is also because her parents tried to plead their innocence for so long. For about a year.
Because they have the money to play. Because their lawyer was playing into a lot of technicalities. They have the money to play with the play ball. That's what it is. When money talk, BS walk.
And that's why many people don't have sympathy for her or her situation.
I don't think she's... This is my own, and forgive me if you disagree. I don't think she's far from the parents. Because you will know if that interview would have displayed.
She did say that she's never going to do this for her children, though. So
but let me tell you something why I think she's not far.
She don't want to go to jail.
If she's still roaming around the core truth, that's an example of what the parents did in the court. It's a perfect example of how the parents were trying to beat. Yeah, that's what it is. You see a pattern. There's a pattern there. I'm not trying to be like Antonin or whatever, Crown Attorney here, but I'm just trying to say that you call a spade a spade. To me, it's a no, and it's a total rejection. I know I've said it more than 5 times since, and I can say it 1 million times because it is what it is.
I think this whole thing is just a learning experience, and hopefully, I know that like almost diminishes just the extent of what happened, because this is a serious thing, and it has a lot of there's a wave effect, you know. As you said, that there are people who may have missed out on their opportunity because they cheated their way in. It could have really had a domino effect that's negative and had negative impacts on other people. But hopefully, she can take this as a learning opportunity to help her grow, to help her understand the way of the world, to help her understand her privilege as a white, wealthy woman in this world, that she's even able to sit here and seek some kind of sympathy from people. No matter how many times she'll say, I don't expect folks to forgive you. I mean, you kind of do if you want to come on a public platform to share your side of the story.
Yeah, it's like you trying to say that, oh, well, I don't expect no result, but I'm playing lottery. I don't want to win. I don't like money, but I'm playing lottery. I just play every Saturday, but I don't like money.
Fun.
I just play. Listen, you can tell that to my children, and not even my adult children. The one that is just 6 months old, you can tell that to them. You understand? That doesn't work no more. These guys don't realize that it doesn't work no more. Information is at your fingertip these days. So they have to start up understanding that you can't be doing that no more. You cannot tell me I'm sorry, but it's not me. It was my leg. I didn't know. No, take responsibility. Good people make mistake. Period. If you're sorry, and own it to the end. Don't if and but. It's not allowed. Impossible. Nonchalant. No. Everything, no, zero.
I think on that note, we are going to conclude today's show. Thank you so much, Kenny, for joining me with this conversation.
Thank you for having me.
As always, it's always a pleasure and a privilege to have you as my co-host. And that concludes our Chat Up for today. As always, you know, it has been so nice chatting with you. And unfortunately, I have to say, it will be almost the end of our season for this year. I'm going to be taking a quick break, but don't worry, I'll be back next year. I will definitely let you guys know when that debut date will be. I'm just warning y'all in case you guys are sad and upset you don't see me 1 week, just letting y'all know that the season is almost over, but it's been such a pleasure chatting with you all today. As always, you can keep up with us live 24/7 on www.gbkm.fm or www.gbkm.tv. You can also watch on Facebook at GBKM Television, on YouTube where you can like, share, comment, subscribe, all of that fun stuff at GBKM TV, on Twitter at GBKM_FM, and Instagram at GBKM FM to keep up with any news and updates. You know that we have that app coming soon, so make sure you follow us to keep up to date. You can also follow me, your host, at TIS_Liz_O on Twitter and Instagram. And I will see you at the same time, same place next week. Take care.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kemi Amusho, known as Lady K.
Waga foma agizoso owaga mama ena korugo ude no mono baburo wagima ya moese wakima ko bokupe na ya jole do maji eko waga foma agizoso owaga mama ena korugo waninego wani ine mata o wagamu mwina boyedo no kwizozo sijo wayanine igoe ke wayanine mata o waga mama ogweke ni moze imuna garedo moizozo imuna garobo ogweke ni morise iko yere na se kyonkebe Waya miri ukusa Ogogogo ni magamie Imamie boni ya gedo Yano lega do ereko Imotano kawe keldoye Evo nagi sobon media Oya ya simye wama na yidiani yesige Ivedo menu zomo Ivedo meni lebinu Ivedo meni lebinu Waya radio teto Adogwa badele doyi Oba menu mogun Oba menu mogun Oba menu mogun Egwaro gidigan Ambassador Norioba His Excellency Norioba o Turato Boba, Uragbe Boba o, Nutiamo Edogia, Oba no Enegbe, Oba Nebo, Imayanga Oedo, Timari Tivieto, Ivieto Yanira America, Ivieto ni Canada, Ivieto ni UK, Ivieto ni Euro, Waya Radio Tedo, Wadogwa Badele Doyi. Ah!
Ebony Maya yo edumi to baba ma dole to yi lóde bá òtún ní kwọ́bá dọ́lẹ̀ wò ẹ̀rọ ní mayára ẹ̀dùn mi ẹ̀fí bá kún àkàrà ráhùnrè lóde bá òtún ní kwọ́bá dọ́lẹ̀ wò.
Sunobun kakwa bawa doledo yi wa madore o edo arisi agbon o atemi vie eran kewona edo mose edo yeme o edo arisi agbon o ọmọ náà bá ẹwà rẹ̀ ò gidi gan. Ọ̀sẹ̀ àdó kòkó, ọ̀sìn máa kòkó, ọba àdó gbòrìrì.
Ẹ̀dọ̀ ẹ̀nà wùwà wàrí ìdáre o. Wàrẹ́rì ilẹ̀ o, wàgbìmọ̀ gbọ́ bá dọ́là dọ́nà yìí. Ó wà níbú wọ pẹ́sẹ̀, kékeré bóso níbú. Èyá kì í towí tó wà. Alẹ́ ṣe yàrá ẹ̀ nìran yàrá sọ̀wọ́ bò. Ìran níbú. Ìyàwó àríyàntọ̀ èso ra nyàdùn ẹ̀gán èso ra sọ̀kú mẹ́nẹ́mẹ́nẹ́ ìyàwó ẹ̀dẹ̀ nọ̀rọ̀ àsunú wọnà rìnyú gbogbo tó fi àbọ̀. Wàrẹ́rì ilẹ̀ o wàgìmọ̀ gbọ́ bá dọ́là dọ́nà yìí wàrẹ́rì ìmú ẹ̀wẹ́ gbẹ́sẹ̀ wòtàrí ẹ̀wọ́ ìbò mẹ́rin èèmọ̀ ní ẹ̀yàrí ẹ̀wà ó wẹ̀rí ẹ̀wà ó ta. Adérúra yẹwé bo owó gbọ́lódé wọn ta. No nyakpara tie o songe na mari nyari ya eku mane ye ma ye ona ya mu ogere wagagi leo wagi magwa ba dole dona yi
ẹ̀rọ ní maya yo ẹ̀rù mi tó kwọ́bá máa dọ́lẹ̀ tó yí lóde bá òtún ní kwọ́bá dọ́lẹ̀ wò ẹ̀rọ ní mayára ẹ̀rù ẹ̀fí bá kún àkàrà ráhùnrè lóde bá òtún ní kwọ́bá dọ́lẹ̀ wò.
want justice, we need peace, and this brutality from the police. The youth's done fed up, fed up, fed up, and this brutality. Everybody fed up, fed up, fed up. Change our mentality. We are the future. Are we ready? The future. Are the youth ready? The future. We are the future. They want kill us, oh, because we they say no to corruption. We not go give up, oh, even though they try to kill us all. I say one day, oh, live better. I say one day, oh, yeah. Justice to see, sleep. My people must fight, oh. Africa must rise, oh. We first stand for the truth and fight for our right and never give up, oh. Politicians killing our land, them a set confusion pan our land. Get to youth have to rise and take our land. See police can't stop us from our land. We want justice, we need peace, and this brutality from the police. The youth's done fed up, fed up, fed up, and this brutality. Everybody fed up, fed up, fed up. Change our mentality. With your peers. People them are dying for nothing. Politicians use us for coffin. Really need to find a solution.
I tire for the hate, tire for the rape, tire for intimidation, Africa they face. Tire for the endless starvation my people are facing now.
We want justice, we need peace, and this brutality from the police. The youth's done fed up, fed up, fed up, and this brutality. Everybody fed up, fed up, fed up. Change our mentality.
I prefer better Naija. Same story all the time. No light, no road, no hospital. Now which kind country be this? Operation every day, killing my people every day. Africa, one day change must come.
FA to HD. So suffer we dey suffer. Government people make me wonder. They carry gun killing my brothers. All these things make me they wonder. Remember what you do today, you go get down tomorrow. Remember what you sow today, you go reap back tomorrow.
We want justice, we need peace, and this brutality from the police. The youth's done fed up, fed up, fed up, and this brutality. Everybody fed up, fed up, fed up. Change our mentality.
We don't care, yeah. I go fight for my picking future. Bad government and none. Bad governance and none. Every day they might shoot, they might kill, they might loot, they might take everything where we get to you. Enough is enough, I beg you.
Happy faction, I beg you, we need action. The future is now. Africa leaders them be saboteur. No more pressure. Right now we need liberation. Everybody run like a rat race. It's democracy, don't make man crazy. Oluwa got
one justice. We need peace, and this brutality from the police.
GH Gali.
The youth's done fed up, fed up, fed up, and this brutality. Everybody fed up, fed up, fed up.
Yalla body kena dokko. Bato chilo sasa aba fongpo. And aba nyala makataru putoto. Tautology, robbiness, unforgot. See the pain, the fears we face every day. The land that's full of prophet is the evil of today. The shame we face, killing our race. The land that can be greener is the red of today.
Remember we pledged to our country to be faithful, loyal and honest, to serve the people with all our strength. But the leaders don't forget their promises to defend her unity and uphold honor and glory. So help us God, oh, in Africa.
We want justice, we need peace, and this brutality from the police. The youth's done fed up, fed up, fed up, and this brutality. Everybody fed up, fed up, fed up.
We don't tire. Politicians say we don't tire. And for election, they promise for the nation, they do jaga.